Dear friends, in chemistry, acids and bases are two important classes. We classified the acids and bases by considering the taste. Acids possess sour taste, but bases possess bitter taste. Historically, the classification of acids and bases was by using taste. Later we understood that acid possess H plus ions and bases possess OH minus ions. So we removed that first classifier into a different classifier. So we know that what is a classifier in chemistry. Historically, acid-base classifier, acids and bases were classified by using certain descriptors like taste, later by H plus ions count. Another classification attempt in chemistry was in periodic table. Mendeleev used atomic masses as the best classifier. But atomic structure revealed that in addition to atomic masses, we can also use atomic numbers as the best classifier. When we are using atomic number or outer electronic configuration of an element, we can classify the elements into metals and non-metals. So another classification criteria in chemistry was number of electrons present in the valency shell. And also atomic number was the basic criteria for classifying elements into different categories. In organic chemistry also, we used certain classifiers. Aromaticity was one of the classifier. If a compound possesses a particular aroma, we used to call that compound as aromatic. Otherwise, we used to call it as alicyclic. Later we understood that aromaticity is not because of smell. Not only because of smell. It is something else. So organic chemistry also used certain classifier in order to distinguish between certain compounds from some other compounds. So classification or usage of classifier in chemistry is not a new thing. You already used several kinds of classifiers in chemistry. When science changed, when chemistry changed, classification criteria is also changed. If taste was, smell was, the criteria for classification, now more sophisticated criteria developed. Mathematics, statistics and logics are now using in order to develop the classifiers. So what is a classifier? A classifier is a parameter or a quality or an attribute or a combination of attribute by which we can classify, by which we can divide entire compound set into different categories. For example, if there are large number of properties for a compound, we used to call it as descriptors. Among that, if a particular descriptor is responsible for the classification, if a particular parameter is responsible for the classification, then that descriptor can be considered as a classifier. When data mining approaches developed, classifier got a different meaning. Now the classifier is having a very different meaning, even though the concept is same. Now a classifier is an algorithm which can find out which descriptor is responsible for the classification. So classifier is a decision maker. He will study entire descriptor set in a data set, and he will decide which one is having a particular property and which one is not having that particular property. For example, if you want to know that which descriptor is responsible for tuberculosis activity, you have large number of descriptors developed from CDK descriptor toolkit. If you are using a vector classifier, for example, if you are using any of the vector classifier, that vector classifier is going to understand which descriptor or which set of descriptors are responsible for the particular classification. That means which descriptors are classifying the compounds into tuberculosis active or tuberculosis inactive. So in order to understand about classifier, now it is better to understand just like this. A classifier is a decision maker. That decision maker is studying the different descriptors and telling you that which compound is active and which compound is inactive. How this classifier understand which compound is active and which compound is inactive? In order to understand which compound is active and which compound is inactive, we want to train the classifier first. As we used to train the students, which one is good and which one is bad, which one is wrong and which one is correct. So we are collecting large number of data with experimental result. We are collecting large number of data with experimental result. And we will train the classifier with that experimental result. For example, if you are taking 100 compounds with tuberculosis activity and 100 compounds with tuberculosis inactivity, we used to say that it is a balanced data set. And in 100 compounds, when the tuberculosis activity is showing, certain kind of pattern is available in the data set descriptors. Certain kind of pattern is available in the descriptor set. Similarly, when the compounds are inactive, another set of pattern is available. If a classifier can understand which kind of pattern is available in the active sets and which kind of pattern is available in the inactive set, that particular understanding is known as training.